How on earth do we heal from those emotional wounds? What is the Neosporin for that? Because Lord knows these wounds, they're a thing and they're a pain in the stinking neck. Y'all, I'm super excited for today's class because we are calling in the experts. This curriculum, we've learned that in order to strengthen our overall resilience, we need to focus on 6 key areas that are self-care and compassion, support and connection, positive effect, healthy coping, finding purpose, and mindfulness. In our last 2 classes of the curriculum, we're going to dive into some practicals. Today is our emotional resilience practical, and our next class will be our physical resilience practical, where we discuss more of the benefits of yoga. So today, emotional wounds. Oh my goodness, how on earth do we tend to those? Well, I'm super excited. Our experts today are joining us from Building Blocks Family Counseling, and they have designed a curriculum, Making Lemonade. The entire point of this curriculum is to teach you some amazing strategies and tools to actually tend to those inevitable pain in the neck wounds that we got that accompany this diagnosis too. And today, in our interview, they're going to share just a few of these tips with us, little snippets of their class and curriculum, and hopefully arm you with some of your own strategies. So, without any more further ado, let's go. Let's do this.
On this ocean, every wave brings you closer to home. And no matter what you think, you are never alone.
Well, welcome. We have our experts with us here today. I'm so excited to welcome with us Julia Jerome and Terri Tyson from Building Blocks Family Counseling in Pooler. They are counselors that are working there, but they are also the designers of a curriculum called Making Lemonade, which we're going to talk about more today. It's designed specifically for our breast cancer patients to help. It's that Neosporin. It's basically helping you tend to that emotional element of healing. So welcome. We are so happy to have y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Well, we're here today to talk about emotional resilience. So resilience, right? Rising up strong. But before we can actually talk about that, we have to talk about the fact that there is this big old giant thud on the floor that can happen beforehand. What can people expect as far as those emotional wounds accompanying physical ones?
That is normal. That anxiety is a part of life. That getting anxious about things, that things hurt. We have to feel the downs in order to feel the ups.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the important thing is like not running from it. So allowing yourself to be in those moments, but not let them overtake your entire day or entire week.
That is a learning curve. Y'all have heard it from me. Like, it is not easy, but it can be done. And therapy is a place where we can go to actually work on some of these skills. So tell us, Terri, how can therapy help people tend to those emotional wounds?
I think the biggest thing when you go to counseling/therapy is that it's a safe place for you to talk about anything. So I know a lot of times we fear judgment from others, but the therapy environment is a place of non-judgmental actions. And so when you're in there, after we get our thinking out and get our thoughts out, like we can actually focus on skills. Because before we can focus on the skills, we have to make sure we are in the moment and that we have our emotions kind of dealt with.
And did you want to add anything else about therapy?
I was just going to say, like, sometimes with therapy too, I think we think, oh, the first therapist is, this is how therapy is. Mm-hmm. But every therapy, just like every pair of shoes feels different. Every, shirt we try on, this one feels different. This one feels that way. So sometimes we have to try on different therapists.
You have
that's
to
okay.
Find the fit that works for you.
Absolutely. My style is different than Terri's style. Is different than other people's style at Building Blocks. And that's not a bad thing. It's just what works best for this person.
Right. Because people are different.
Yeah, people are different.
Exactly.
Styles are different. Absolutely.
I always talk about how I used to teach. And when I was teaching, one of the very first things that I did is I would teach my students how they learn. Because once they knew their own metacognition, then they could succeed in learning and studying across the curriculum. So we would take time and learn, hey, are you a visual learner? Are you an interpersonal learner? Mm-hmm. And then if so, how can you study this way? How do you take notes? And it could be different from your neighbor.
Absolutely.
And so I kind of think of therapy as being similar, but with our emotions. Like, we're going to all process them differently. How do you do it? And then what are some other strategies that maybe you could try that might work for you? And once you know these strategies, then you can apply that across any adversity that you may have in life.
Yes.
So springboarding from that, you have designed an incredible curriculum, Making Lemonade. So Terri, tell us, how is Making Lemonade a little bit different than just a regular support group?
I think it allows people to actually connect. And so not only are you meeting other people that are going through something similar, it's a safe place to express emotions as well as learn kind of some deep skills. So like not just, surface level skills, but some really deep skills that will, allow you to kind of get into some core beliefs about yourself.
I always think about it as a toolbox.
Yes.
So you're basically helping, here's your toolbox, and then here's the hammer, here's the screwdriver. And so there are the different tools for how to tend and heal. So I love that you guys actually help them come up with some of those strategies. And I'm going to share a quote from one of your ads, and it says that Making Lemonade, that participants can have the opportunity to both learn and practice coping strategies. That is huge, because one of the things that we've talked about in this curriculum is how acceptance is ultimately key. So what is radical acceptance?
So radical acceptance is admitting to ourselves that I don't have to like what it is. I don't have to like that this thing is happening to me. I don't have to like the way that this is going. But what I have to do is accept that it's here. It is what it is. I don't have to like it, but I have to accept it. And so in that moment, it's not about, sometimes we have to grow to accept it. We have to grow and understand every bit about it. But especially when we're dealing with a heavy diagnosis, I don't have to like that I have this diagnosis, but I kind of have to accept that now I have to do some acceptance and accept it's here. Now let me deal with it.
It's part of your story, but it's not the entire picture.
No, it's a page, it's a chapter. Hopefully it's, a page, a chapter.
So I'm a control freak, surprise, and I'm a planner, and I like my outlines. And so I recognize, okay, so I want to get to acceptance. I want to be like that turtle guy on, Kung Fu Panda, right? Like, there is no good or bad news. There's just news until the tiger escapes, right? But, so I'm like, okay, this is my goal. I want to get there. But how do I do that? So outline girl, here's the 3 steps I came up with. We talked about how you have to name it, right? Name it to tame it. And then mindful breathing, because as we talked about before, that will help connect our emotional brain with our logical brain. You would be surprised. You think breathing happens automatically, but when you are hit with some kind of anxiety-ridden situation or some kind of trauma or whatever, somehow my lungs forget how to work. Right. And oxygen just does not enter this body like it's supposed to. So we have mindful breathing, which draws our attention to that. That's step 2. And then step 3 is healthy coping strategies. Let's talk about mindful breathing. For when people forget how to breathe, what can we do? Tell us one of these strategies that we can do.
So for me, I like to teach my clients any age. I work with children. I work all the way up. And so the one thing I remind them is a star. A star. Picture a star. I go up, I breathe in. I go down, I breathe out. And I draw a star. And I just keep breathing. Right? Up, up and out, and I just keep picturing that pattern and going with that pattern. And I can do it on my hand, I can do it with paper and a pen, I can just visualize it. And what that does is I might be fast at breathing at first, but my goal is to slow down. So let me slow down that drawing, let me slow down that imagery, and I keep tracing it on my hand, because that's a good strategy too, right? I may not have pen and paper, I may not have something at hand, so what can I do? I can use my hand and draw it.
And so your breath will match the movement of your hand. So if you deliberately try to slow down the movement of your hand, your breath will match that.
And that's important to, again, stop ourselves from hyperventilating, stop ourselves
I'm good at that.
Panic attacks, stop ourselves from, is kind of that quick breathing. How do I do that? Okay, let me slow down. Let me imagine the star. And I'm taking the focus off of the very panic-inducing situation into something just here in the moment, right now, right today. Let me try to do this. And you know what I remember? I remember a star. We've all been drawing stars since we were very young, right? We know how to draw a star. That's what we remind ourselves of.
Awesome. So we name what we're feeling. We find a way to breathe again. So mindful breathing, drawing your attention into that breath, and then healthy coping. That sounds great when you're not in the middle of an icky square of life, right? So I always think about hopscotching along. And when I land 2 feet in this hopscotch square that is a nightmare, and I really don't want to be there, and it's icky, yucky, gross, how do I tolerate that distress tolerance? How do I deal with that moment? Terri, what do you recommend?
And when I'm in a sticky moment, my goal in that moment is to get out of that sticky moment, obviously, right? I just want to do anything but that. And so I have to come up with techniques that help me, to remind me of like where I am in the moment. So kind of like a grounding exercise, okay? And one of the things that works for me to get my mind off of all of that stuff is to focus on an object, okay? Any object. It can be a tissue box, it can be a water bottle, a pen, anything, right? And use all of our senses, so our taste, our touch, our smell, our hearing, our visual. Am I missing one, y'all?
I think that's
Smell,
Okay,
touch.
okay. So using those senses to stay in the moment. And so, like, if I have like a pen, this pen, for instance, right here, okay, I'm going to describe this pen in full. Not just that it's a pen, because everybody knows that. But okay, what's it say on it? It says big, intensity, medium. What does it feel like? It's cool. Is it smooth? Is it hard? Things like that. And so that process kind of helps you, remember, I'm safe right now. Like, in the moment, I am okay. I'm alive here.
Right.
And so focusing more on that to
Right.
get out of those really hard
And so
situations.
you might seem like, okay, describing a pen might seem
Yeah.
kind of, silly or whatever, but it's not, because what it's actually doing in your mind, in your brain, is it's drawing you to the here and the now, like
present.
helping you stay
In this
present.
moment, I'm safe. And here's this pen with me. In this moment, I'm here. Today, I'm safe. And I have this pen. Let me tell you about this pen.
And it may sound silly at first, like when the first time a counselor told me that, I was like, this is crap, I'm not doing this. And then I did it, and I was like, oh, I'm not really thinking about anything but the pen. Cool.
Right. It helps
Yeah.
get you grounded in that
Absolutely.
moment. What's another mindfulness activity, Julia, that they can do?
So one of the things that I really like to do, Terri mentioned the senses, and the reason why we bring in our 5 senses is because that's how we bring it back into us. If we bring it back to ourselves, we bring it back to the here and the now. And in order to do that, that's where I like to remind myself of my 5 senses. So what are 5 things I can see right now? What are 4 things I can smell? Right? Let me tell you, it's 4 things I can smell. Maybe I'm smelling a candle. If I'm sitting outside, maybe I'm smelling the grass. What are
Wet
some
dog.
a wet dog, right? What are some things I can touch right now? Okay, I can describe this chair. I can describe this tablecloth. What are some things that I taste? If I'm at a place where I can taste, I always like to keep gum with me. Peppermint, butterscotch, something to where I can taste something. Bring in those senses and really connect them all. What is something I'm hearing right now, right? And so I kind of like to do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? And so 1 usually would be a taste. What can I taste? So it may be describing that mint.
Coffee.
Chocolate.
Right? It
Cheeseburgers,
brings
French
us
fries.
back down. It brings us back down. It reminds us of the moment. It reminds us of the here and the now. And that's really important when we're feeling these very big things and the future can be a
Right.
question mark.
And these are things that can help us in that icky sticky moment, right?
Absolutely.
To be okay in
the
that
moment.
moment. All right. So we have our naming it, and then we have our mindful breathing, and then we have to deal with our coping strategies of that. Oh gosh, I'm in this terrible, icky, nasty moment in life, and I just want to get out. But how can I be okay and grounded in this, and trust that things will get better, right? And then, okay, maybe I have one leg moved out of it. What's a coping strategy that I can do as I'm starting to move past it, but I'm still maybe not okay? What's something I can do at that moment?
Yeah, I think coping doesn't have to be this hard thing, right? There's a lot of little things that can help us cope. And so one suggestion that I have is each day when you wake up, you pick one thing you're looking forward to that day. So it can be something very small, like going to Starbucks, making your own coffee at home in your Keurig, playing a video game, reading a book, something that you're excited about to kind of get you through that day.
And I love that because it gives you, I'm a control freak, and it gives you this control, right? Like, instead of looking back at, oh my gosh, my day was a disaster, it's, I'm going to do this one thing today that's going to make me happy. And so that's a control. That's something that I can do. We talked about control circle before. I can do this one thing. And I'm all about that control. Let me get it where I can, right? Okay, so what is one thing that you say is the most crucial thing that people need to remember about emotional resilience?
For me, I think it's that it comes back to that reminder what Terri was saying about planning for one thing, right? It's reminding yourself that this is a bad moment. this may be a really bad day. And that's okay. Have your bad day. It's okay. But I can't let it overtake so much that now I'm having a bad week, I'm having a bad month, I'm having a bad year, and now it just spirals, right? And so it's reminding yourself that let me have my bad day. Let me have this bad moment. But you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to plan for that something positive so that I have something to look forward to. So reminding yourself that it's not just all or nothing. It's not.
Yes, it's not all or nothing.
It's not all or nothing. It's not a bad life. It's maybe just a bad moment. Maybe it's a really bad hiccup. Maybe that hiccup, who knows what it's going to do. But you know what? I can accept that, you know what, today I'm going to choose to be positive. I'm going to choose to have something to look forward to.
Do you have anything you want to add about something that people need to remember about emotional resilience?
I think the key is maintaining positive network, right? So having our support system. I think a lot of people tend to isolate when they go through things because they don't want to burden others. But really, like, that's the key to being resilient, is relying on others, having that safe place to have all these thoughts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is actually one of our pillars to resilience, is having that support network. So guys, I'm so happy that you joined us today just to share a few snippets of their class, Making Lemonade. Again, it's like a toolbox, and these are just a few of the tools that they have to teach you guys strategies in order to deal with those icky, sticky squares, as well as how to cope and move forward from that. I'm so glad that y'all joined us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you guys out there, y'all can find out more about Making Lemonade by visiting their website, Building Blocks Family Counseling, their website at the bottom of the screen. You can call, their number is right there, as well as you can follow their Facebook page. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will talk to you guys again next class. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, I hope you learned a thing or two and have a few more strategies in your pocket in order to help tend to your own emotional wounds. I look forward to seeing you guys in our next class with physical resilience and yoga. I'll see y'all then. Bye.